The massive alien ship hung silently in space, its dark metal hull reflecting the distant light of Earth's sun. On the bridge, High Commander Reed stood tall, his four eyes fixed on the blue planet that filled the main screen. His species had conquered 12 worlds in the past century, but this one seemed different somehow. "Report," Reed commanded, his voice deep and steady. Officer Green, the ship's chief observer, stepped forward with a datapad. "The planet appears to be at technology level 3, Commander. They have basic space flight capabilities, but nothing beyond their own moon. Their weapons are primitive, mostly projectile-based and nuclear warheads. No energy shields, no faster-than-light travel." Reed nodded slowly. "Another easy conquest for the glory of the Empire. Show me their largest cities." The screen shifted to display various Earth metropolises. New York, Tokyo, London. All of them looked so vulnerable from space. The aliens watched as millions of humans went about their daily lives, unaware they were being observed. "Look at how inefficient their transportation systems are," Green commented, zooming in on a traffic jam in Los Angeles. "They still rely on individual wheeled vehicles. No anti-gravity technology at all." Reed frowned slightly. Something didn't add up. How have they managed to spread across their entire planet with such basic technology? "They're surprisingly adaptable," Green admitted. "They've built cities in deserts, jungles, and even near the polar regions. They use simple but effective solutions to survive in these environments." The commander walked closer to the screen, studying the humans more carefully. They were building massive structures with what appeared to be primitive tools. They were crossing vast oceans in vessels that seemed almost laughably simple by the Empire's standards. "What about their communications?" Reed asked. "Mostly wireless radio waves and something they call Internet, a global data network. Very basic encryption, easy to bypass. We've been monitoring their broadcasts for the past week." Reed watched as the screen showed clips from human television, radio, and internet traffic. He saw their entertainment, their news, their daily conversations. Most of it seemed trivial, but occasionally something caught his attention. Moments of surprising ingenuity, unusual solutions to common problems. "Their military capabilities?" he inquired. "Scattered and divided. The planet has no unified defense force. Different regions maintain their own armies. Their most powerful weapons could barely scratch our hull." Green sounded almost amused. Reed wasn't laughing. "Show me their history." The screen filled with images of human warfare through the ages. From simple spears to modern missiles, the progression was clear. But what interested Reed most was how these humans adapted, how they constantly found new ways to use their limited technology. "They're resourceful," he said finally. "Perhaps too resourceful. Prepare a report for the Council. I recommend we proceed with caution." Green looked surprised. "Caution? Commander, they're centuries behind us. We could disable their entire power grid with a single pulse." "That's exactly what concerns me," Reed replied. "A species that survived and thrived with such limited technology. They must have other strengths we're not seeing." Nevertheless, protocol had to be followed. Reed composed his message to the Council, recommending Earth as the Empire's next expansion target. But he added a note of warning. While technologically inferior, humans display unusual adaptability and problem-solving capabilities. Standard conquest procedures may need modification. As the message was transmitted through space, Reed continued watching the Earth. On the surface, humans went about their lives, unaware that their first contact with alien life would come not as a peaceful greeting, but as a test of their species' survival. Green approached again. "Should we begin standard pre-invasion protocols, Commander?" Reed nodded slowly. "Yes, but double the usual observation period. I want to know everything about these humans before we make our move. Something tells me they're not to be underestimated." The alien ship adjusted its orbit, settling in for a longer watch. Below, Earth spun peacefully in the darkness, its inhabitants unaware that they were about to face their greatest challenge, and perhaps teach the galaxy a lesson about judging a species by its technology alone. The evening sky over New York was clear when the lights went out. Within seconds, the entire city plunged into darkness. Then Chicago went dark. Then London, Tokyo, Moscow. One by one, Earth's major cities lost power. In the Emergency Operations Center in Washington, Captain Tom Miller stared at the rapidly darkening map of the world. Red dots appeared everywhere, marking each disabled power grid. "Report," he shouted, as phones rang nonstop around him. "Sir, it's not just a normal blackout," said Robert, his chief engineer. "Something knocked out our transformers. All of them. At exactly the same time." Tom looked at the data flowing across his screens. This was impossible. Power grids didn't just fail simultaneously across continents. Unless. "Get me the telescope data from last week," he ordered. "I want to know if anyone spotted anything unusual in orbit." Above Earth, Commander Reed watched the chaos unfold. "How long until their backup systems fail?" he asked Officer Green. "Based on their technology level, they should be helpless for at least several days," Green replied confidently. But something unexpected was happening. In New York, thousands of small generators roared to life. People were pulling out solar chargers, battery banks, and emergency radios. In Tokyo, engineers quickly rerouted power from working stations to critical infrastructure. London activated its underground backup power network. Tom Miller watched in pride as humanity did what it did best: adapt. "Sir, hospitals are running on backup generators," reported Susan from the emergency team. "People are organizing on their phones. They're using car batteries to power essential medical equipment in homes." In Chicago, a group of college students had already rigged up a bicycle-powered charging station for people's phones. In Brazil, communities were sharing power from small solar installations. India's extensive network of local power systems kicked in, bypassing the damaged main grid. "What is happening?" Green asked in disbelief, watching from orbit. "They should be panicking." Reed leaned forward, studying the scenes below. "They're helping each other. Look, they're creating solutions we didn't anticipate." Within 6 hours, most critical services were running again. Hospitals never lost power. Water systems kept working. Emergency services stayed operational. The internet, through a mix of satellite connections and local networks, remained partially accessible. Tom coordinated with teams worldwide. People were sharing information and solutions across continents. When someone in Australia figured out how to safely restart certain types of transformers, the knowledge spread globally within minutes. "Sir," Robert called out, "you need to see this. We're detecting an energy signature in orbit. It's huge, and it's definitely not one of ours." Tom looked at the data and smiled grimly. "So that's who did this. Get me the president." In space, Reed received the updated reports with growing concern. They restored power to critical systems in hours, not days. "How?" "They're using primitive solutions," Green said, sounding confused. "Backup generators, solar panels, car batteries, technology that's centuries behind ours. And yet it works," Reed observed. "They don't rely on a single system. They have layers of backups, alternatives, workarounds. We disabled their power grid, but we didn't disable their ability to adapt." On Earth, Tom Miller stood before a hastily assembled group of world leaders on a secure video call. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're not alone, and we're being tested. But we just proved something. We can take a hit and get back up. Now let's show them what else we can do." As the humans began planning their response, Reed sent a new message to the Council. First strike revealed unexpected resilience. Human civilization relies not on advanced technology, but on remarkable adaptability and cooperation. Recommend immediate reassessment of invasion strategy. The warning shot had been fired, but instead of creating panic, it had united humanity. And up in orbit, An alien commander was beginning to realize that perhaps technology wasn't everything. 1 week after the global blackout, Ambassador Jack Wilson stood in the United Nations building in New York, preparing to meet humanity's first alien visitors. The room was tense. World leaders and military commanders watched through secure feeds as a sleek alien shuttle descended from the sky. High Commander Reed had chosen to send his best diplomat, Master Negotiator Blue, to deliver their terms. As the tall, four-eyed alien entered the room, Jack noticed how he looked down at the human furniture with barely hidden disdain before carefully sitting down. "We come offering you a place in our empire," Blue announced without preamble. "Your resistance to our power demonstration was unexpected, but futile. Join us willingly, and your transition will be peaceful." Jack smiled politely. "Would you like some coffee while we talk?" Blue looked confused. "Your primitive stimulant beverage." "Humor me," Jack replied, pouring 2 cups from a simple coffee pot. As they talked, Blue kept glancing at the coffee maker. Finally, he asked, "Why do you not use automated molecular dispensers for your drinks?" "Because when this coffee maker breaks, I can fix it myself," Jack explained, tapping the pot. "Sometimes, simple is better. Like how we recovered from your power grid attack. Bicycle generators aren't complicated, but they work." Blue shifted uncomfortably. "Your species relies too heavily on crude solutions. The Empire can provide you with superior technology." "Let me show you something," Jack said, pulling out his phone. During the blackout, people used these simple devices to coordinate emergency responses across the entire planet. When regular networks failed, they created new ones. Did you know some communities used old radio equipment to maintain communication? Primitive tools, Blue dismissed. "Tools that couldn't be disabled by your attack," Jack countered. "Tell me, what happens when your advanced systems fail?" Before Blue could answer, the building's power flickered. Emergency lights kicked in immediately, and battery-powered devices continued working without interruption. Jack didn't even pause the conversation. "You see," he continued, "we build redundancy into everything. Not because it's efficient, but because it works. We call it Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So we prepare." Blue was beginning to look unsettled. He watched as humans around the room smoothly switched to backup systems, continuing their work without panic. "Your species is strangely prepared for failure." "We prefer to call it being prepared for anything," Jack replied. "Humanity hasn't survived this long by relying on perfect systems. We survive because we expect things to go wrong, and we always have a backup plan, usually several." To demonstrate his point, Jack pulled out a series of items from his briefcase: a solar-powered calculator, a hand-cranked radio, a paper map, and a mechanical watch. Technology doesn't have to be advanced to be useful. It just has to work when you need it. Blue picked up the mechanical watch, studying it with his 4 eyes. "This is powered by springs and gears. How do you achieve accuracy?" "Simple physics and careful engineering," Jack explained. "It might not be as precise as your quantum timepieces, but it'll still tell time after an electromagnetic pulse, like the one you used on our power grids." The alien diplomat set the watch down carefully. "You understand we could simply take what we want by force." "You could try," Jack agreed. "But consider this. If we can recover from a global blackout in hours using technology you consider primitive, imagine what else we might be capable of. Do you really want to find out?" Up in orbit, Reed watched the diplomatic feed with growing concern. His species had encountered many civilizations, but none quite like this. Most either had advanced technology to fight back with, or simply surrendered. These humans, they didn't seem to fit either category. "Sir," Officer Green reported, "we're detecting unusual activity in their military installations. They appear to be adapting some of our own scanner signals against us." Reed nodded slowly. "Of course they are." He was beginning to understand. Humans didn't need advanced technology to be dangerous. They just needed enough imagination to use whatever tools they had in unexpected ways. The diplomatic meeting concluded without a resolution, but both sides had learned something important. The aliens had learned that technological superiority didn't guarantee victory, and the humans had confirmed what they suspected. Their greatest strength wasn't their tools, but how they used them. Commander Lisa Brown sat in her underground office at the Military History Archive, surrounded by books, digital displays, and ancient artifacts. Her team had been working nonstop since the aliens appeared, preparing historical records that might help humanity survive. Meanwhile, in orbit, Officer Green was growing increasingly disturbed as he studied Earth's military history. "Commander Reed, you need to see this," Green called out, his voice shaking slightly. "These humans, they've fought wars with sticks and stones. They'd fought wars with nuclear weapons. And somehow, they've survived both." Reed moved to Green's station, watching as images of human warfare flashed across the screen. "Show me their most devastating conflicts." The display showed World War I. Green pointed to various scenes. "Look at this. When they couldn't build tanks, they made improvised explosives. When they couldn't fight in the open, they used guerrilla tactics. Every time one side developed a new weapon, the other side found a way to counter it." "That's standard warfare," Reed replied, but he sounded uncertain. "No, sir. Look at this." Green pulled up images of the Vietnam War. A technologically superior force was defeated by farmers using underground tunnels and improvised traps. The humans don't just adapt their technology, they adapt their entire way of fighting. Back on Earth, Lisa received an urgent call. The aliens were accessing historical records through hacked satellites. She smiled. "Let them look," she told her team. "History is our best weapon right now." In space, Reed and Green continued their research. They watched humans fight in deserts, jungles, Arctic wastelands, and urban ruins. They saw armies adapt to every possible condition, using whatever tools were available. "Sir," Green said quietly, "I found something worse." He displayed information about human space programs. When they couldn't build better rockets, they strapped themselves to controlled explosions instead. They went to their moon in what was essentially a tin can with engines. Their first astronauts were test pilots who flew experimental aircraft that had a high chance of crashing. Reed stared at the images. "They're insane." "No, sir. They're determined. Look at this. Even their scientists are dangerous." Green showed footage of the Manhattan Project. They split the atom with technology that would be considered ancient by our standards. They harnessed the power of the stars using machines built from scratch. Lisa's team tracked the aliens' research patterns. "They're studying our greatest defeats," she noted, "but they're missing something important." "What's that, ma'am?" asked her assistant. "Humans learn more from failure than from success," she explained. "Every time we've been knocked down, we've gotten back up stronger. Each defeat teaches us something new." In orbit, the alien research continued. Green found records of human exploration. People climbing the highest mountains, diving to ocean depths, crossing vast deserts. "Commander, their drive to explore is beyond anything we've seen. They do these things not because they're easy, but specifically because they're hard." Reed watched a documentary about early polar expeditions. They crossed their ice caps with nothing but dogs and sleds, before they had proper survival gear or communications. "Yes, sir." And when modern equipment became available, they didn't stop using the old methods. They just added new tools to their existing knowledge. Lisa received another update. The aliens had accessed records of human space exploration. "Perfect," she said. "Let them see what we can do with primitive technology." Green's next report was even more concerning. "Sir, they've developed contingency plans for almost every scenario we could throw at them. Nuclear war, biological weapons, climate disasters. They've thought about it all. They even have plans for scenarios they haven't encountered yet, like alien invasions." Reed stood silently, watching Earth rotate below them. "We thought their lack of advanced technology made them weak," he said finally. "But their history shows the opposite. They've survived and thrived precisely because they don't rely on advanced technology alone." Lisa gathered her team. "The aliens are learning about our past," she announced. "Now it's time to show them our future. Send word to all military commands. Operation Looking Glass is ready to begin." In space, Reed made a decision. "Continue monitoring," he ordered, "but be prepared for anything. These humans, they don't just learn from history, they improve upon it." Dr. Mark Anderson worked frantically in his makeshift lab, converting an old radar dish into something new. Around him, other engineers repurposed everyday technology into defensive weapons. They didn't need fancy alien technology. They just needed to be clever. In orbit, Commander Reed prepared his fleet for the first attack. "Target their military installations first," he ordered. "Use precision strikes. No need to damage civilian infrastructure yet." Officer Green looked uncertain. "Sir, after studying their history, shouldn't we be more cautious?" "They have no defense against our energy weapons," Reed replied firmly. "Begin the attack." The alien ships descended through Earth's atmosphere, their weapons charging. But as they approached their targets, something strange happened. "Sir," Green called out, "our targeting systems are malfunctioning." On the ground, Mark smiled as his modified radar dishes went to work. They weren't trying to block the alien signals. They were reflecting them back, amplified and scrambled. The alien ships' own communication networks were being flooded with nonsense data. "Basic electronic warfare," Mark explained to his team. "Sometimes the old tricks work best." The aliens' first volley of energy weapons missed their targets completely. Reed watched in disbelief as his ship's precision weapons hit empty fields and abandoned buildings. "They're using our own sensor data against us," Green realized. "And look, they've evacuated all critical facilities. They knew exactly where we would strike first." On the ground, humanity's response began. Conventional military forces stayed hidden, but something else emerged. Civilian trucks carrying modified equipment, construction vehicles repurposed as mobile shields, old communications equipment broadcasting on frequencies that interfered with alien systems. "Sir, we're detecting thousands of small energy signatures," Green reported. "They're using their electricity network as some kind of weapon." Mark watched as his latest invention went to work. They had connected thousands of power transformers into a massive electromagnetic pulse network. Not strong enough to disable the alien ships, but perfect for disrupting their sensitive scanning equipment. "Sometimes you don't need to destroy something," he told his team. "You just need to give it bad data." Reed's fleet struggled to adapt. Every time they adjusted their frequencies, the humans were already there, jamming the new signals. When they tried to target power stations, they found them empty. The humans had built fake ones to draw their fire. "This is impossible," an alien officer complained. "They're fighting us with primitive technology." "No," Reed corrected. "They're fighting us with ingenuity. Look there." Civilian drones, modified with simple signal repeaters, swarmed around alien ships. Each one broadcasted false targets, creating a cloud of electronic noise. The aliens' advanced targeting systems couldn't distinguish real targets from fake ones. Mark's team kept innovating. They turned old satellite dishes into signal scramblers. They reprogrammed civilian radar systems to create a web of electronic interference. Every piece of technology, no matter how simple, became part of Earth's defense. "Sir," Green reported nervously, "we're detecting new energy signatures. They've adapted some of our own technology. They're learning our weaknesses as we fight." Reed watched as his mighty fleet was forced to retreat higher into orbit, their sophisticated weapons rendered useless by humans using repurposed civilian technology. "They didn't try to match our technology," Reed realized. "They found ways to turn it against us." On the ground, Mark's team celebrated their first victory, but he knew this was just the beginning. They'll be back, he told his engineers. And next time, they'll be ready for these tricks. So we need to come up with new ones. Military commanders worldwide shared data on what worked and what didn't. Every success, every failure became a lesson. Humanity wasn't just defending itself, it was learning, adapting, preparing for the next round. Reed gathered his officers for an emergency meeting. We need to rethink everything, he announced. These humans, they don't fight the way we expected. They don't need advanced technology to defeat it. They just need to understand it. The first battle was over. Humanity had proved itself more resourceful than the aliens expected. But everyone knew this was just the beginning of a much larger conflict. Hidden deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility unknown even to most world governments, Dr. Mark Anderson stood before a massive screen displaying data from the alien ships. But he wasn't alone anymore. Scientists from every nation had gathered here, working in secret since the first day the aliens appeared. It's ready, Mark announced to the room full of engineers and military leaders. Project Prometheus is operational. In orbit, Commander Reed prepared for what he believed would be the final attack. His fleet had been reinforced. Their systems had been upgraded to counter human interference. This time, we take no chances, Reed told his officers. Full assault on all major military targets. Officer Green looked troubled. Sir, the humans have been suspiciously quiet these past few days. They've run out of tricks, Reed said confidently. But even he didn't quite believe it. Deep underground, Mark's team activated their secret weapon. For months, they had been studying the alien technology, not to copy it. That would have taken years. Instead, they learned its weaknesses, its basic principles, and most importantly, how to merge it with existing human technology. Begin Phase 1, Mark ordered. Across Earth, hidden facilities powered up. They looked like normal power plants from the outside, but inside, they housed hybrid generators, human-built machines enhanced with reverse-engineered alien principles. In orbit, Green noticed something strange. Sir, I'm detecting energy signatures, but they're impossible. They're like our weapons, but different somehow. Reed rushed to the scanner. What are these humans up to now? The answer came swiftly. From hidden silos, mountains, and underwater bases, humanity's new weapons emerge. They weren't as advanced as alien technology, but they didn't need to be. They were human ingenuity combined with alien science, unpredictable, improvised, and terrifyingly effective. How? Reed demanded as the first hybrid missiles approached his fleet. How did they adapt our technology so quickly? Mark smiled as he watched the alien ships scramble to defend themselves. We didn't try to understand all their technology, he explained to the observers. We just needed to understand enough to make our own weapons more effective. The hybrid weapons struck. They weren't as powerful as pure alien weapons, but they bypassed alien shields because they operated on principles the aliens never expected humans to discover. Sir, our shields are useless, Green reported frantically. They're weapons. They're using our own energy frequencies, but modified in ways our systems don't recognize. Reed watched in amazement as Earth's defenders launched their counterattack. Old military jets, retrofitted with hybrid engines, flew alongside conventional fighters. Simple missiles, enhanced with alien power sources, proved impossible for alien defenses to track. They didn't just copy our technology, Reed realized. They merged it with their own, created something entirely new. In the underground facility, Mark directed the global defense network. Every nation contributed what they could. Russian tanks with hybrid armor, Japanese drones with modified alien sensors, American submarines with new stealth systems that combined alien tech with old-school silent running. This is humanity's true strength, Mark told his team. We don't just adapt, we improve. We take new ideas and make them our own. The alien fleet began to retreat. Their superior technology had become a weakness. They relied too heavily on pure alien tech, while humans used a mix of everything available to them. "Sir," Green reported, "we're losing ships. They're hybrid weapons. We have no defense against this combination of technologies." Reed stared at the battle displays in disbelief. The humans hadn't tried to match alien technology level. They'd created an entirely new level of technology, one that combined the best of both worlds. "All ships, retreat to high orbit," Reed ordered. "We need to reassess everything we thought we knew about this species." In the underground facility, celebrations were subdued. Mark's team knew this wasn't the end, just a turning point, but they had proved something crucial. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't any particular technology. It was their ability to take any technology and make it uniquely their own. 1 month after humanity's successful defense, the Grand Meeting Hall of the United Nations was prepared for an historic event. This time, it wasn't just Ambassador Jack Wilson waiting to meet the aliens. Dr. Mark Anderson, Commander Lisa Brown, and Captain Tom Miller stood with him, representing humanity's resilience, innovation, and unity. High Commander Reed had made an unprecedented decision to come in person. As his shuttle landed outside the UN building, he remembered his first impression of Earth, a primitive world that would be an easy conquest. How wrong he had been. "Welcome to Earth," Jack said as Reed entered with Officer Green. "This time as guests, not invaders." Reed nodded solemnly. "We have much to discuss." Inside the hall, representatives from every nation gathered. Screens showed millions watching worldwide. This wasn't just about peace. It was about humanity's place in the galaxy. "We came here believing we were superior," Reed began his speech. "We measured advancement by the sophistication of our technology. We were wrong." Mark listened intently, thinking about the hybrid technology they'd created. Already, hospitals were using modified alien healing devices powered by simple electricity. Cars were being upgraded with hybrid engines that ran on ordinary fuel but worked 10 times better. "Your species showed us something remarkable," Reed continued. "True advancement isn't about having the most sophisticated tools. It's about how you use what you have, how you adapt, how you combine old and new to create something better." Lisa smiled, remembering how studying history had helped them understand both their strengths and the aliens' weaknesses. "Sometimes," she whispered to Tom, "the best way to move forward is to remember where you came from." Tom nodded, recalling how simple backup generators and human cooperation had defeated the aliens' first attack. And sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones. Reed approached the podium. "On behalf of the Empire, I propose not just peace, but partnership. We have much to learn from each other." Jack stepped forward. "We accept, with one condition. Earth remains independent. We'll gladly trade and share knowledge, but humanity must be free to develop in its own way." "Agreed," Reed replied. "Your independence is precisely what makes your species valuable as allies. You see possibilities we miss. You find solutions we would never consider." The treaty they signed that day was written on paper, simple, durable, and as Mark pointed out, impossible to hack. It established Earth as a free world, recognized humanity's right to develop its own technology, and created a framework for sharing knowledge between species. "What happens now?" Green asked Reed as they prepared to leave. Reed watched as humans demonstrated their hybrid technology to alien observers. Someone had already figured out how to make alien computer systems run on solar power. Another team was explaining how they'd combined alien metals with Earth materials to create new alloys. "Now we learn from them," Reed replied. "They've proven that advancement doesn't always mean moving forward. Sometimes it means looking backward, sideways, finding new ways to use old ideas." As the alien ship departed, Jack stood with his colleagues watching the sky. "Think they finally understand?" Tom asked. "They're beginning to," Mark replied. "Technology isn't just about how advanced your tools are. It's about how well you understand them, how creatively you can use them." Lisa smiled. "And now the whole galaxy knows. Humans are not to be underestimated. In orbit, Reed made his final log entry about Earth. This mission began as an attempt to conquer a primitive world. It ended with us learning a vital lesson. The humans showed us that true innovation isn't about abandoning the old for the new. It's about finding ways to make everything work together. Their strength isn't in their technology, but in their endless ability to adapt, improve, and imagine new possibilities. They are not to be underestimated. They are to be learned from. On Earth, humanity looked to the stars with new confidence. They had faced their greatest challenge and emerged stronger. They had proven that human ingenuity, combined with determination and unity, could overcome any obstacle. The future was bright, and for the first time, humanity would help shape the destiny of not just their world, but the galaxy itself.